家嚟到香港大學黃麗松講堂，咁而家咧就係5:04唔知4分定係3分嘅。咁啊頭先我喺出邊咧，即係輕評估個形勢咧，咁大家都係話，即係一於都係用翻呢個 Hong Kong time，因為咧我哋之前嗰2日咧都好不幸都係咁樣嘅，每一次阿方平就學識咗用叫 Hong Kong time，就會10分鐘之後先會發生嘅嗰件事，即係我答正嘅咁樣嗰個 talk，但其實咧就係10分先至開始嘅，所以我哋今日仍然用 Hong Kong time。咁樣唔好意思，所以對於各位準時嚟嘅朋友咧，就要有多啲耐性，等多5至6分鐘。咁或者我都可以喺度左時就後講少少嘅先。咁樣咧就我而家講嗰啲嘢咧，變咗啱嚟嗰啲朋友就聽唔到咯。咁所以你哋就會知多少少關於點解大家會喺度咧，點解可以喺度咧，今日咁樣好唔好？咁我叫阿 Cam 啦，我係嚟自一個組織叫做教育大同嘅。咁首先我喺講之前，我又要問下，其實在座咧邊一位呢2日係咪今次係第一次嚟呢一個系列嘅講座同埋工作坊？哇咁多真係一定要講，唔好意思，琴日已經聽過唔知4次嗰啲朋友咧，就你又要聽我講1次。咁教育大同係一個通常你會見到我哋有個5格嘅封塵儀式嘅一個組織。咁其實我哋都係家長嚟嘅，咁我都係一個普通阿媽啦，升斗嘅普羅市民嚟㗎。咁自從咧喺我自己本身係一個在家自學嘅翻學，咁因為在家自學嘅關係咧，咁就唔知點解又俾人有一次2013年咧就邀請咗去台灣，因為台灣嗰陣時就開一個叫做亞洲區在家自學會議，好勁㗎個名。咁咧我就話咁勁我唔得㗎咁樣，我幫你揾人啦，我睇下香港有冇人可以講在家自學啊咁我試下揾下學者啦，揾下律師啦，咦發覺冇人知嘅在家自學呢件事嘅嘢。咁卒之咧就變咗我嗰陣時已經在家自學，咁所以我就去咗台灣嗰度啦，做咗呢個分享。咁就發現咧，如果個咁勁嘅名嘅一個亞洲區在家自學會議咧，其實得60個人到出現嘅啫，包括埋喺韓國嚟嘅、喺日本嚟嘅、喺北京嚟嘅，連埋台灣嘅都係得60個人到嘅啫。但係嗰個氣氛好溫暖啊，即係令到我覺得咧，原來嗰啲唔同地區嘅在家自學嘅人咧，其實都有一啲好困難嘅經歷嘅。即係原來自己喺選擇自己一條教育嘅路嘅時間咧，尤其是由你喺主流嗰度覺得好辛苦。你喺主流嗰度唔知點解，而你係好勇敢地踏出一步，跟住咧你就要發覺，喂，我哋原來要有人同行先得嘅。咁跟住我就發覺翻嚟咁溫暖之後咧，咁就話不如我哋都可以喺香港開一個會議喎咩樣？咁當時我台灣嘅朋友就話，我哋係要開在家自學會議嘅。咁但係我翻到嚟咧，我就冇諗過要開在家自學會議。我覺得咧，所有嘅家長咧，其實都好需要有選擇嘅喺教育上高，而我哋即係其實係好難做到呢個選擇嘅。因為呢個選擇咧，其實係好似人哋賜予俾我哋嘅，好似係教育局有咩俾我哋啊，或者呢個社會我哋知得到啲乜嘢嘅選擇咧，我哋就先可以去揀咯。咁但係我就發現，其實如果我哋呢度咧，我成日都話，如果個頭喺自己嗰度，個腦袋係自己嘅話咧，我哋自己係可以選擇嘅。但係我哋要呢度又要夠 strong，我哋又夠人同行，我哋先夠膽去選擇。咁所以我哋第一次2014年，亦都係喺香港大學開咗我哋第一個嘅 conference，叫做教育有選擇。英文咧就叫做 We Need Choices。咁嗰陣時，錢嘉年教授就話：點解你哋個中英唔對嘅咁樣？咁我就話唔得，我哋中英文要夾埋一齊講㗎。因為咧，我哋嗰陣時咧就話 We Need Choices 係真嘅 ，We Have Choices 咧就話當我哋能夠改變呢度咧，我哋就有 choices 啊咁樣。咁所以咧，我哋5週年啦，咁趁住5週年咧，就我哋搞咗個5週年嘅活動，啱星期日進行，就叫教育有選擇2019。咁咧就係、都叫做話，我哋過去5年做啲咩咧咁？我哋嘗試咧，除咗話喺教育上高，真係即係除咗開 conference 去帶一啲唔同嘅選擇，譬如主流內外嘅選擇俾人睇之外咧，我哋自己其實亦都一個會咧，都有喺學校入邊開始做一啲嘢。我哋喺一啲主流嘅小學裏邊做咗一個叫 learning by doing 嘅 program，咁就真係一啲好基層嘅主流學校，好唔係好多間幾間，但我哋開始想 spread 呢一種不同嘅諗法。咁令到希望主流學校裏邊都覺得，喂，我都可以揀下嘅。我做老師，我做校長，我都可以唔一定淨係嗰一款嘅模式去教我啲小朋友。咁另一方面咧，就係、所以你會見到我哋教育大同做嘅工作咧，其實係向大人嘅。我哋就唔係特別做啲 service 俾小朋友，因為小朋友咧好多人做嘅其實，但係我哋覺得大人嘅 service 咧就係我哋要幫手改變到大人夠膽去諗唔同嘅嘢。咁我哋嘅小朋友 先至有個空間去做到呢個選擇。咁所以咧，你就見到我哋一方面咧就會做學校入邊啦，其實學校我哋都做緊 teachers development 個 learning by doing program。而 parenting 呢邊咧，我哋好高興啦嚇，咁我哋會多謝你2次啦，真係多謝陳定華基金會啦，真係咁今日好人才鼎盛嘅前邊一行全行都差唔多，除咗我先生之外咧，都係陳定華基金會嘅同事啦，咁樣好多謝阿 Director， 咁阿 Karen 啦，同埋真係一啲好 supportive 嘅同事。咁因為咧，我哋好好彩咯，即係作為一個咁溫馨嘅機構咧，咁佢哋走嚟揾我哋啦，佢早我諗16年到啦，佢就問我哋話：喂，你哋即係唔知喺邊度聽到個學校我哋個名咁，你有咩嘢想做啊咁樣？咁我哋嗰陣時就好高興啦！你見唔見得出邊有本書啊？呢本書係我哋一個封面一本書啊！咁其實咧就係 Parent 即係阿 Robin 嗰本英文書，佢嗰本Parenting for a Peaceful World。咁我哋咧就咁啱咧，2015年開始就譯，直到2017年就譯完嘅，我哋自己譯嘅。咁啊眾籌啊，冇錢啊咁做啦。咁啊跟住咧就好好彩喎，有位阿 Karen Chow 係香港嘅一個著名嘅畫家啦，幫我哋畫咗個封面。咁樣咧就嗰陣到我哋譯緊本書啊咁樣，咁佢哋就好好人啦，就幫我哋找埋數啦，剩翻幾多錢唔夠錢去印本書，佢就幫我哋找埋數，跟住就話其實仲可以做啲乜嘢啊？咁即係咧，我哋就揾咗一位Dr. Bianca Ho 何兆敏博士啦。咁因為其實有Robin 嘅呢本書係一個好即係一個好基礎嘅一個 message。但係我哋喺香港呢個環境，我哋點樣 adapt 到係適合啲我哋自己香港嘅一個文化咧咁樣。咁所以我哋揾咗何博士，咁就幫我哋手咧 adapt 咗 Robin 呢本書入邊啲精髓，成為咗呢10個 connection 啊咁樣，由自身開始一路一步步推到去社會，推到去世界，我哋點樣同呢個唔同嘅階段咁樣去聯繫。咁所以咧就好多謝陳定華基金會啦。就令到我哋可以有呢個3年嘅社區親職教養計劃，成個名咧就叫做善養小童成大童，共構童嚇。咁今年我哋第2年啦，咁咧請 Robin 嚟咧，其實就係我哋好希望我哋由翻譯嗰本書嗰陣時咧，已經非常之希望他點樣可以帶到 Robin 過嚟。咁因為有佢哋嘅資助咧，所以就令到我哋可以邀請到 Robin 過嚟做咗今次係第2個講座，同埋已經做咗5場嘅工作坊咁樣。咁啊，聽日仲有一個比較細規模，就係俾專業人士嘅工作坊。所以好多謝陳定華。咁我諗咧，應該已經係香港時間啦。已經過咗香港時間，已經17:51分。所以咧，我轉少少英文，我覺得好短㗎啦，咁好嘛。咁啊 ，thank you very much for coming to Hong Kong U, and thank you so much for joining our second talk by Mr. Robin Grille, Australian psychologist. We know about Robin for a few years now, and is Karen here? Our Karen, our Karen. Where's our Karen? Our Karen is there. Oh, Carrie is there. Hey, Carrie, the artist, the painter. Thank you so much. Oh wow. Do you know Carrie? On the 18th or 19th of the night, she called me and said, Cam, I can't come because I have an important job. I really want to come, but I have a very important job. She drove her car to my home from Taiko and just delivered this picture to my home so that we could display this for the whole of Robin's trip. Thank you so much, Kerry. And for us being able to invite Robin to come, I also have to thank a lot to Karen. Karen is one of Ediversity's founders. Because of her perseverance, she's been contacting Robin from day one. She's so interested in the book, and she makes sure that we could get enough people and money to make this happen. So thank you very much. Okay, another quick news. We have translated this book in 2017. And then Karen, soon after that, has found another lady in Taiwan to make the Chinese even better, so that we can, she did the whole thing again, literally. And so now, if you go to Amazon.com, I actually just witnessed by Robin this afternoon at 3 o'clock, we pressed the button that we published it on Amazon, the second version of the book. So maybe today or tomorrow or the day after you'll be able to see this better version of the e-book. on Amazon for the Chinese version. So that's a good news, right? So Robin, since Sunday, has been doing one talk, 5 workshops. And this talk, we've learned a lot. For those who have come to all of those, we've learned a lot. So today, I think Robin decided to do something experiential today. So to search for our inner child, and you may see his book out there. His newest book is called Inner Child Journey, and he's only bought a few, so very few of you has the privilege to buy it, but you can also buy it on Amazon.com. So just search Robin Grille and Inner Child Journey. So I think I better stop now. I'll leave the Hong Kong time to Robin.
Thank you, Cam, for, as usual, a wonderful introduction. I think I don't get tired of hearing that story. It's a good story. It's a very, very exciting story. Welcome to all of you. It's very, very nice to see you here today in this fantastic setting. I love comfortable seats, and you will need comfortable seats for the little journey we're about to take together. Also love a good microphone. I couldn't be happier. So, I hope you're here for the right workshop. You seem happy to be here. I won't be doing a lot of talking today. Today's different. It's not really, I won't be delivering a lecture and bringing you a lot of information. A whole different thing for this workshop this evening. I do want to introduce the why and the how for the journey that we will take together and how to keep it safe. But mainly today is that I will be talking in maybe 10-15 minutes. I will be inviting you all on a journey that is a personal journey, an internal journey that you can make as private and in your own space as you need. This is about you saying hello to you and getting to know yourself a little bit more deeply. Specifically, those parts of you that have been with you your whole life. What a lot of us like to, in the world of psychology, we like to refer to that as your inner child. And of course, there's the inner child, there's the inner adolescent, the inner baby, and really what that means is that we never completely forget, do we? We never completely forget what it felt like to be a child, what it felt like to see the world from inside that state of consciousness and the little body, from a place of more vulnerability. That stays with us. It stays with us forever. And there's a lot of value to that part of ourselves, a lot of value. Knowing and becoming more closely acquainted with our inner child serves us in so many ways, because those early stages of development have the purpose to give us our capacity for playfulness, for joy, for laughter, for creativity, for inventing new things, a capacity for innocence, a capacity to see the world in a new way and to enjoy the world more deeply. But there's a very specific purpose that I have for this journey that I want to share with you today, which is for your relationships with your own children. Now, I just want to take a quick poll. How many of you have children at home? Okay, most of you. How many of you are here because maybe whether or not you have children of your own, you work with children? You might be teachers or health professionals. Some of the same hands came up. So there's a lot of children in your life. Has it ever, have you ever had the feeling, when you think of those times with your children when you get frustrated, have you been there already? Frustration, challenge, when you feel lost, when you're wondering what on earth does this child want, what is that all that noise about? Have you been there already? The challenges of parenthood, the challenges of being a teacher, with this little wild person that lives in your house, this wild and out of control person that lives in your home. They're difficult housemates, aren't they? Has it ever occurred to you that some of the feelings that come up for you, that are triggered through the parenting relationship, aren't really about your child, but they come from your own history? Have you noticed that? Let me give you one example. There's so many ways in which our own inner child comes to the surface, even if we think we had forgotten. Let's take another poll. How many of you, at some time in your life, made a vow to yourselves that you would never speak to your own children in the way that your parents spoke to you when they were at their worst? Put your hand up, and please keep your hand up and look around the room, because that's quite a lot of people. Okay. Now, keep your hand up if you have already broken that vow many times. Happens a lot, doesn't it? No matter how much we try, I want to be different, I want to do it better, I want to have more patience. What are the things we told ourselves? I don't want to frighten and punish my children the way that my parents used to frighten and punish me. I want to have more patience. I want to spend more time playing with my children. I want to listen to them better. All of those things. How many of you can honestly say, although I know that you have been courageous, all parents are, how many of you can honestly say that you have always been able to live up to that intention? Not me. Not me. Okay. I think that's quite universal. It's the same story no matter where I go. We get triggered. Part of the reason why I decided to write my last book, the one that my latest book was only released maybe a week or two before I came to Hong Kong. So it's very, very fresh. And I called it Inner Child Journeys. And it's not a parenting book, although it's for parents. It doesn't tell any parent how to be a parent. It doesn't even tell you much about what children want from us. This is a way to know yourself better. To know yourself better. And to understand your own reactions as a parent and as a teacher when there are children in front of you. To understand your own reactions and how to have more choice about how to respond instead of how to react. The reason that what prompted me to write this book is that I had written 2 parenting books. The one that was so wonderfully published here, Parenting for a Peaceful World, and then a second one. And then I realised my work is absolutely incomplete because for all of the things that I wrote and I researched about the needs, the developmental needs of our children, I can't live up to the things that I said in my own book. Sometimes I can. And I do my very, very best as a father, the same as you do as mothers and fathers. But there are so many times that if you could take a keyhole look into my life, you would look at me and say, that man doesn't look anything like what he said in his book. And that's a fact. And in this era when there are so many parenting books everywhere, do you have that in Hong Kong? You go to a bookshop and you have history, fiction, languages, parenting. You have lots of parenting books in Hong Kong? It's a new world, isn't it? Did your parents read parenting books? There was probably only one back then. So, and part of the reason is that there's been an explosion of developmental science and the brain sciences. And we understand so much about how the environment affects children's emotional development. So there are books and books and books and books and research and research and research, thousands and thousands of pieces of research published in peer-reviewed journals in every language around the world, and there's the attachment research and oh my goodness, etc., social learning theory, blah, blah, blah. There's so much of it. Guess what that means? Now you have so much more to feel guilty about. Now we're so much more educated, aren't we, about the things that we get wrong for our children. And I started to notice, as after I wrote my books and I went about delivering my parenting talks, that everybody sounds almost paralyzed with guilt. That we often fail our own best intentions as parents. Let's tell the truth about that for ourselves and to each other. We will often do that in every home. And then because we have all of this new information, do you know what happens? I see parents all over the world going, oh my God, I've just damaged my child's brain forever. It's that dreaded D word. Damage! My baby was crying and I couldn't hear the crying because I was on the phone hanging out the washing and yelling at my husband. And then I came late and my baby was really, really, really upset. I've brain damaged my baby for life, which means that my baby will grow up to be a drug addict and a wanted criminal. And I will get my face will be in the paper. That's the mother of that. Yeah, well, that's really that. But there is. I don't want to make light of it. There is a lot of fear and guilt, an enormous fear and guilt. So it's time to tell the truth. We're all so courageous. Every parent that I have ever met does more than what they can. We all do. We all do. Our hearts grow bigger. At the same time, we all fail what it says in the books from time to time. And I think we need a different context. I'm going to stop calling it failure because something else much more important and much more interesting is going on. The reason why every parent will sometimes react automatically, not in the way that you would wish to have. And this is the dark side of parenting. And sometimes we overreact. We get much angrier and more punitive than is called for by the situation. Or sometimes we underreact. We neglect. We let things go that we shouldn't allow to let go. We don't set boundaries. We don't give demands of respectful behaviour. We become permissive and we overreact and we underreact. There's like an automatic thing that we often do. When we are our automatic self, we're not our grounded and chosen self. That's the difference between reaction and responding. Responding comes from really listening. So a lot of us overreact and underreact. There's a reason for that. And here's the reason, and I have a feeling that you will know very quickly, you will recognize this in yourself. This is what our children do from the moment that a child arrives in our home. And this, by the way, is before birth. Before birth. The unborn child in the womb. From that moment, we begin to be triggered. Now, do we use that term in Hong Kong? Is that a familiar term here? The trigger. What are your triggers? I want you to think about your triggers. And we all get triggered in very different ways. That's why it's good to have a team. There's some people that get very triggered when a baby's crying, and particularly crying that goes on for more than a minute. And we don't know why, but we disturb it. Oh, it's so irritating. The baby's still crying. I can't stand it. It's like nails on a board. Somebody make the baby stop. I can't stand the crying anymore. Some of you feel that way. And some people don't mind the crying at all. And then you might meet somebody, it might be you, you're really triggered when a child is angry. Oh, I don't like it when the child is angry. I do the anger around you, not you. Or we get very overwhelmed. Some people get triggered by a child's tantrum that we collapse. We get run over by the child. Some people are particularly triggered by when children defy, when our children come to us, as all healthy children do, and say no. No. Have you noticed that, those of you that have a child that's more than 2 years old, how much they love saying no? You notice that? And they say no sometimes, it's so delicious to them. No! Ooh, that smells so good. No! Good then. Would you like your favourite ice cream? No! Oh, wait a minute. Think of what your triggers are. What gets you most out of control emotionally for you? So we all have these triggers. We all have these triggers. I had mine. I really had mine. Some of us have triggers about, oh, my child is not doing homework. And you start imagining my child is not doing enough homework. That means my child will end up on a park bench one day, completely indigent and helpless, etc., 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 etc. There are so many etceteras. What are your triggers? What are the places where you really lose it as a parent? Is that something that's bad about you? I think there's a much larger evolutionary plan. And this is not just I think, but this is a current understanding that's growing widely. Our children, your children, bring back your childhood, because it's time for you to take notice of your own childhood as that. Those places of pain or frustration or hurt or abandonment, they stay with you. Those places of disempowerment, okay, they stay with you. The feeling never completely disappears. And it's as if your inner child lives on, waiting and waiting and waiting to gain your attention. And there's something uncanny about our children. They find that place without having to try, just through being themselves, just through their behaviour. They press the button right in those places where your wounds are, your personal wounds. Initially that's very difficult, and then you overreact or you underreact, you get triggered. Usually it'll happen again and again and again and again. Do you recognise that? What are the patterns that happen? I want you to start thinking about this, because this is the material we will work with. What are the repeating patterns that happen between you and your child? That thing that's been happening for weeks. Oh God, every time that we come to dinner, my child doesn't want to come to dinner, and then I start yelling, and then my child starts crying, and then I get more frustrated. And then my child goes off and hides under the bed. And then it takes even longer to come to dinner. And then repeats. Oh, every night, and I'm tired of it. And then the problem goes away and we get a new problem. Do you know what I mean by the pattern? You thinking about it? Who has difficulty with their children getting out of bed in the morning and convincing them to get dressed to go to school? And there's argument. It's always something. It's always something. Those are the places where you know that you're being triggered. There's a purpose. There's a good purpose in this. It's not just a hard time for nothing. There's a good purpose in it. This is helping you to notice a place in you that has really been wanting your attention and wanting some healing, wanting an answer for you. I'm thinking about you, your well-being and healing right now, not so much your child. There's a design to this. Our children bring to us, through these triggering moments, opportunities for our own healing and growth. And tonight, this evening, I want to show you how to take a journey internally to contact the voice of your own inner child, inner baby, inner adolescent, whatever it is for you. The issues that you have with your child just tell you the theme to get you started. And I want to show you a way by which you can contact the voice of your own inner child and ask your inner child what is the healing that he or she needs, that you need in your life right now. And we'll talk about ways that you can bring that healing to yourself in a concrete, practical way that is appropriate for your age as an adult. Okay? When you go through that whole cycle, you'll start to realize that there is an upside to the troubles that you had with your children. That happened for a good reason. It was difficult, but it happened with a good reason. Consider that you can use the future conflicts and troubles you have with your children not just as teaching opportunities for them, but as healing opportunities for you, if you do some of this inner child work. Another reason why inner child awareness is so very, very important is that we don't see our own children and their needs clearly. It's like looking at them through a lens that has mud on it. We see them but not clearly. We see our children through the lens of our own childhood experience. And it distorts the picture. We judge them. We judge them unfairly often. We judge them positively when we shouldn't, or we judge them negatively when we shouldn't. Essentially, our perception of our children is twisted by the most powerful experiences that we had as little children. So many examples of that. Somebody who as a child was never allowed to express their own opinion, and whenever they got upset and had strong feelings, they were squashed by intimidating parents. And then you grow up and you have your own child. And then your child comes up with the same bolshy attitude that you had when you were 3 and 4. And you're bothered by that because your child is giving himself or herself permission to be everything that was taken away from you. And what happens is that we resent the child. We start to feel, how dare you? And the voice inside the head starts to say, what a naughty child. What an impertinent child. I must tell them to be quiet. I must shame my child. Can you see that's just one of 1,000 examples of how potentially we see our children through our own history, through the lens of our own past. Does that make sense? Any questions so far? And if instead, especially when you find yourself judging and blaming and thinking terrible thoughts about yourself as a parent or about your child, that's a sure sign that what has been activated for you is one of your own childhood wounds. By the way, it occurs to me to say it's not just the wounding we remember. Your body, as I said earlier, your body remembers everything, even if your head does not. That's called implicit memory. That's a kind of memory that is stored in separate circuitry than narrative memory. Narrative memory, most people can't remember before 3 years of age. Implicit memory what I like to call body memory, is the memory of the feeling of being a child. The joy, the fear, the hurt, the sadness, the anger, the delight, the pleasure. The feelings come back. The feelings come back when they're triggered. When they're triggered. All of them. Which means that all the love that you receive from your parents, every time that your mum and dad looked at you with love in their eyes, every time that they held you, every time that they protected you, that is still inside you. Your time with your grandma, when your grandma came to visit, she wanted to spoil you to pieces. That is still inside you, even if you can't consciously remember it. And your children trigger that as well. What happened to you when your baby came home and you could see your baby's little feet? What did that moment feel like when they're lying in their bed and you look at the little hands and the little feet? What happens in you then? Do you remember that feeling? Isn't it the sweetest thing in the world? Yeah. And what does your voice want to do when you see that? Wow. And there's a rush of the sweetest, tender feeling invested towards your child. Quite a bit of that is what's been triggered through the littleness of the baby you see in front of you. That is a trigger for the love that you received, and you pass it on. What we receive, we tend to pass on. Can you see that body memory brings everything? Not just the wounding. That's the value of body memory. The value of body memory. That a person that was never given affection as a baby can't give affection to their own child when they grow up. And sometimes that is exactly what happens. Sometimes that's exactly what happens. That if there was no attachment in early life, there's no body memory for how to give that. And this happens. It's talked about a lot. That, you know, that person who could be a very functional person, who goes about their work and is not mean to anyone and not violent, but when their own baby comes, they feel a little bit alienated from their baby. They don't have all of those rush of energy to hold and to touch and to make lovely sounds and syllables and rocking. All of that does not come. That really does happen. Unless some kind of healing and nurturance comes to that person, even late. Okay? Sometimes the nurturance that we give to our children comes from later, some kind of a healing experience that came later in life. So it's not irreparable. And in fact, that's why I do this inner child work with people, so that it becomes more conscious for you how your child will impact you, so that you can become an active, an agent of seeking to complete whatever was not complete for you. And almost everybody, in fact my belief is that everybody has one or two scars. Everybody has a little bit of trauma from here and there. A lot of us have quite a lot. There was loss, there was violence, there was somebody who was an alcoholic, there was somebody who was ill, there was somebody that was too authoritarian or frightening. We all have something. We carry some tremendous stories. And we're actually not reduced by that. We're not. This is what gives us our wisdom in many ways, to know ourselves. Especially when you make this conscious, instead of denial is the only wound there is, actually. Denial. When we say everything's fine, it's all okay, I had nothing but happiness. If that's true, well and good. Often it won't. Denial is when we act out unconsciously onto everybody else. The moment we start coming to terms with what our story is, understanding our story, feeling the feelings of our story, all these new choices open up. And in fact, as well as the love that we receive, but even the hurts that we've endured and survived, deepen, if anything, our compassion for other people and our wisdom about humanity. So it's all pretty good, as long as you look at it. As long as you look at it. Does that answer your question? Awesome question. Great question, thank you. Okay. So I'll tell you a little bit about what we're about to do, where we will go, and how to make it safe. We're working with our own body memory. You don't need for this to be overwhelming. I don't want you to completely relive some terrible trauma. Okay? That's not what this is about. It won't be like a therapy session or a hypnosis therapy session. Right? And I hope that's a relief for you to know that, and not a disappointment. It's really about coming closer to your own inner child from a safe distance, enough to see, aha, that's how that felt. You don't need to get much closer than that. Especially not here. Especially not in our lecture theatre at HKU. Alright? So if at any point you feel like, oh, this is too much, I'm starting to remember a very scary experience, you don't need to go too deep. Number one, nothing compulsory. If you don't want to take this journey with me, don't. Feel free not to. You can even take a little walk, as long as you don't disrupt. Alright? Don't disrupt everyone else. Or just keep your eyes open and take this as an instructive experience. You don't need to go into it. Particularly if you're somebody that has survived some very terrible traumas. Go easy. Go easy. If feelings come up that are too much for you, you can use body memory in a special way to come out of the experience. Just take a deeper breath, or exhale, and let your eyes be a little bit open again. Maybe give yourself a little massage, a little stretch. Even if you stand up in your own space, by standing up, you're in the position of an adult in control. That reminds your body, see, that's a trigger too. It reminds your body of your adult experience. You're an adult. That makes sense? Nothing compulsory, you're in charge. I will talk you through. I'm going to dim the lights a little bit. Just a little bit. And I'll dim them a little bit more when we actually properly begin. I want you to think of an issue that is current in your life between you and your child, or you and the child that you're working with. Something that doesn't feel so easy. There's always something. Whether it's you're tired, your baby keeps you up all night, or somebody's misbehaving at home, or you're worried about your child because they're going through a hard time at school, or you have somebody at home that is a very fussy eater. I want you to choose an issue that is important to you, that has been nagging at you, the one that you're struggling with, and you've been reacting and responding, but it hasn't been resolving. So choose that issue. We'll call it your current situation with your child. When I say your child, it can mean a child in your school, for instance, if it's not your son or daughter. So your current situation, think it's the current situation. When you have that, here's what I'd like you to do. Begin by having both of your feet on the ground. these kinds of things, it's always better to have both your feet on the ground and just relax into your chair. Let your body do whatever it wants to do in order to feel like you're supported by your chair. And you don't need to close your eyes, but if you can, I would invite you to gently let your eyes, your lids be closed, so that you come into your own experience, being in your own, inside your own aura. We will be traveling internally for about 15 or 20 minutes together. This is just you with you. And I want you to feel the chair beneath you and behind you as your support, the floor under your feet. This is your special time, you with you. Sitting with yourself, and take a moment to ponder about the situation, the current situation, your challenge that you have between you and your child. And just for yourself, as you speak internally and quietly within yourself, see if you can give that a name. That thing that happens when. Thing that happens when, just a simple description to yourself. When he does this, when she does that, know this. When he doesn't do that, when she doesn't do that. Give your situation a name. When you've done that, pay attention to when this situation happens, what's it like for you emotionally? Ask yourself, how do I feel each time this happens? And then listen internally. Pay attention to what happens in your body, what's happening in your belly, around your solar plexus, your heart, throat, jaw. When this happens, I feel like this, or I feel like that. Maybe more than one feeling. Let that be whatever it is. You might notice that there are some feelings you think you should have. But I want you to really honour and pay special attention to the feelings that are there, even if you don't like those feelings. They're your true feelings. This is how I feel each time this happens. Thank you for noting that. Now also pay attention to the voices that you might hear inside. Each time this happens, what do you say to yourself, your self-talk? What do you say to yourself about your child? Just let that be what it is. Don't try to make it better or improve it. Just be very faithful to yourself. What do you say to yourself about your child? What do you say to yourself also, perhaps, about you as a parent or as a teacher? Each time this happens. Those voices tend to come by themselves. And hear them. And now, sitting with all of that, the feelings that come up for you in that situation, the self-talk that you say to yourself, notice if that the totality of that experience has any familiar flavour for you? Is that experience familiar to you from any earlier time in your life? When else have you felt these kinds of feelings? Perhaps even before your child was born. When else did you feel this way in your life? Thinking about the things you hear yourself say inside about you or about your child. Where did you learn to say those things? Who first said those things about you? Or perhaps about somebody else that you were a witness to it. Perhaps you think, oh, this child is so naughty. When did you learn the word naughty? Who used to say that earlier in your life? About you, about somebody else? And when you, if you have a memory of an earlier time, who was there with you? And what were they doing or saying? If you don't have a memory, and yet what you feel with your own child in the current situation, if it feels familiar to you, we can go in another way. Think of how your child behaves that troubles you right now, and then notice the part of yourself, even if only a little part of you, that behaves similar to your child. So when you behave sometime in your early life in the same way or in a similar way to the way that your child does now, how is that part of you treated? What did people do with you or say to you when you behave somehow similarly to how your child does? Or perhaps there was someone else in your life, a brother or a sister, that behaves similarly to how your child does. How were they treated when that happened? In that earlier life situation, where you learn to say and think those kinds of things or feel that way for the first time, notice how you felt then. How it felt to be you then. How it felt to be in your body then. What was that experience like? Let's call that the original experience. When perhaps you were behaving the way that your child does now, or perhaps you were feeling similar feelings back then. Staying with the original experience. I'd like you to think in terms of magic right now. In the original experience, if you could have had, by way of magic, your dearest wish for things to unfold very differently, exactly according to your wish. In that original experience, what would you have wished to happen differently? Perhaps it was, I wish I could have said this to my mum or my dad. Perhaps it was, I wish I could have done this. I wish I could have yelled. I wish I could have run away, run out of the room. I wish I could have pushed or fought back. What is your dearest personal wish? Even if it doesn't feel realistic or possible. Your wish is really important. Trust your wish. Because your wish, no matter how fantastical it might be, your wish has a very important message for you. So it might be a wish, an inside wish. I wish I could have said this in that situation. I wish I could have done that. Or it might be a wish from the outside world. I wish someone else could have said this for me or done this for me. I wish somebody could have protected me. I wish somebody could have helped me, supported me. I wish somebody could have picked me up and held me. Might be an inside wish or an outside wish. Just let yourself have that wish right now and trust it, honour your wish. Because your wish is telling you about a deep and very important need that you had in that original situation. A need that perhaps you didn't even know about it back then, but it's a true need. A need that was not fulfilled back then. A need for something important. Support, protection, perhaps a wish for more freedom. Your wish. What's the central theme of your wish? The wish to express yourself more strongly, or the wish to have more help or support. Something like that. Thank you for honouring your wish. And now let's bring that wish gently forward. To say thank you to your inner child for revealing himself or herself to you. Let him or her know that you will visit them again. Thank them for what they have revealed to you. That incompleted need to have more support or help, or to express yourself more fully in your life, or to escape something, or to push and fight back, something, whatever your wish is. How else does that wish, in what other way is that wish true for you in your life right now? Maybe you wish for a stronger boundary around yourself. Well, with whom do you need more boundaries in your life? An intrusive neighbour, a problematic person at your work, your partner at home, wife, husband, auntie, grandma. How else is this wish very relevant for you in your life right now? Or is there somebody that you need to ask more support and help from, and you had not given yourself permission? Or is there perhaps a situation that you long to escape, and you didn't know how, and you didn't know if it was okay, and you had not given yourself permission to do so? What would it take to have this very wish satisfied or fulfilled at least a little bit more than usual in your life right now? What would need to happen? Can you imagine that? Let yourself imagine that. Are there some friends in your life or co-workers that you need to say no to more often? Or someone that you need to say, I need your help? Or somebody that you'd like more affection from? Can you imagine how that might unfold for you? Take some time to imagine how that might be. What would it take to pursue that wish more than usual for yourself in your life right now? Would it be perhaps you just want more time alone to meditate or to walk? Maybe it's just about more playtime. Maybe what you have just uncovered is that your playtime is taken from you. You want more of your own playtime. And now I want you to imagine how you might grant that wish to yourself. It could feel perhaps a little scary, a little risky, perhaps a little embarrassing. If it feels daring to grant yourself this wish in some way, in a way that's appropriate for your current age, if it feels a little scary, then it means probably that you have stepped outside of your comfort zone. You may be exactly where you need to go. And I would like you to make a commitment, just quietly to yourself, a commitment. In some way, in some safe enough way, I want to give this to myself. Can you say that to yourself? Whatever that is that you have uncovered as a wish. I'd like to ask more help. I'd like to take more time to play. I would like to voice my feelings more. I would like to say no a little more often. Whatever that wish was for you. Give yourself an assurance, a commitment that you will follow that up. That's you being a good mother or father to yourself, to your own inner child, inner adolescent, inner baby, whatever it was that came up for you. That place that you went to inside. So now just even imagine, make a story, a little movie in your mind of you granting that wish to yourself, the wish of your inner child. Imagine how that might unfold. Where are you when this is happening? Who is with you? What are you saying, or what are they saying? What are you doing together? And notice, especially, what happens for you emotionally. Notice what happens in your body, your tummy, your heart, as you imagine yourself granting yourself this wish, fulfilling this wish that you have uncovered today. How does that feel? What happens for you? You feel ready? Let's consider again your actual child. Now that you have gone on a journey to connect again with your inner child, to have a good conversation with your inner child and understand what he or she had been longing for a long time. Think again about the current situation with your actual child, your son, your daughter, your student in your life. The beginning situation that started you on this particular journey. Think about your child's behaviour, that behaviour that you find particularly difficult or worrisome. That situation in your child's life and yours. How does it seem to you now? How do you feel towards your actual child now? What is your child, through their behaviour, asking you for? Is there anything new that you have understood about your child and about what his or her behaviour is calling for? Can you feel anything new that you would like to offer your child when you go home in relation to this situation? Something new that you would like to say to your child, something new that you would like to do for your child or with your child. You let yourself just imagine that. Really notice how you feel as you do. Thank you. Thank you, and goodbye from now that you want to say to your own inner child. Do that in your own way. And when you feel ready, you might want to wriggle your feet a little bit on the ground, bring a little bit of sensation to the feet. Very, very gently, very slowly and gently open let your eyes be open and begin with looking around yourself, just close by your own body, your own legs. And as your eyes become more open, look around you a little bit and let yourself have a stretch in any way that you would like. Maybe you'd like to massage anything that wants massaging yourself, your eyes, your jaw, your face, your neck. Here's a nice way to come back into the room. Give yourself some little taps. I can't do that with my microphone. Let's not forget the legs. Terrific. Welcome back. welcome back. That was a tremendous journey. A lot of you looked like you went someplace very, very deep. A couple of you looked like you went to sleep. If you did, I hope it was a peaceful sleep. Okay, thank you for taking the journey with me. I really, really appreciate doing that with you. I'd like to take the rest of the time as an opportunity to do a couple of things with you. I would like to hear from some of you how you found that experience. What you learned from that experience about yourself, about your children. What you learned this particular time, because each time that you do an inner child journey would be quite different. Sometimes vastly different. What was today's journey like for you? What did you discover? Was it completely confusing? Maybe it was like, what the hell is that about? And maybe there were some big ahas that you got, some of you. Or you might have some questions. What does this mean when this happens? Okay? Whatever you would like to share about your experience or a question that you want to ask, everyone else would like to hear. It's going to be relevant to other people in the room. So there's great value in what you have inside you from this experience. Your questions, your learnings, and I think we're going to have somebody with a microphone to bring a microphone to you so that you don't have to yell and we can all hear you. Can you have the microphone? All right. Does anybody feel ready to share what that was like or to ask a question?
I always have a question about this.
You have a question?
It's not my first time doing something similar, but every time I can't think of anything. Every time. And then some friends will say, you must be very suppressed. You must have suppressed my childhood very much. And I don't think so. So my question is, I really couldn't think of anything. Maybe my children's grown up, maybe I have, I don't know. Just one.
Yeah. Did you begin with a situation that was difficult or challenging or?
If you're asking about the current situation, I don't have the current one. Maybe I don't have the current, I can't think of any.
What did you begin with? Was it a past situation? Because that's legitimate too. To be present.
Maybe I gave up too early. Okay, so mine is not legit, so maybe I gave up too early. Someone with you.
Okay, we'll do this again with you. Right, yeah, Cam, we're listening revision. Yeah, this worked, but thank you for that question. It's not that unusual for there to draw a blank, a total blank. The way that I do my inner child work, and other people do it quite differently, but this process it's not a guided process. It's about exploring from something that is actually alive for you in your life, something that's currently relevant, so that unless you're feeling something strong about it, you'll probably just end up floating about in space, hopefully pleasantly, but without having caught a fish from your lake. So I would suggest try the journey again, but not from a parenting situation. It doesn't have to be about parenting. You can use this journey about any something that happens in your life triggered through a relationship that is an ongoing, you know, those ongoing things that come up again and again and again and that don't seem to resolve. There are very few times in life where everything is at peace. Okay? The starting point for the inner child journey, should you want to take one, is from a difficulty of a relationship. So it can be about partnership, your mum, someone at work, a nagging issue. start from there, because when you're feeling a lot about it, you won't draw a blank. You won't. So if you were trying to drum up, oh, what's the difficulty with my daughters? Well, actually, I don't have one right now. Everything's so fantastic. Then you would have drawn a blank. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. Actually, thank you for that, because some of the best learnings come from when something doesn't work, doesn't it?
I want to share a little bit my experience
Yes.
and answer a question.
Yes. Thank you.
My situation is my daughter don't want to sleep at the night.
Oh.
So late, and
Baby?
she want to. She is 9 years old.
9 years.
And she want me to tell stories, play, and my husband get angry when it is 11 o'clock. So
Yeah.
when I go into my journey, I found that I feel very lonely, and I want to watch television with my parents also until 11 o'clock. So I want someone to be with me. So I decided to, maybe I have to meet some friends to talk and nourish the loneliness for myself. And this is a very fantastic experience. But I want to ask one question: is it a kind of focusing, because I'm learning focusing these few months? So is it children focusing or kind of it? I don't know.
Are you doing the focusing technique that's by Eugene Gendlin? That
yes.
focusing, where you listen to what the sensation in your body?
Yes.
Okay, that's fantastic. Keep the microphone. Don't give the microphone back. Stay with me. Yeah, focusing is, my goodness, if we had another hour, I would teach you focusing. It's a wonderful partner to the inner child process. Because what focusing is just a name for a particular mindfulness technique that is very special. It's my favorite, actually, for mindfulness, that usually it's very difficult to understand what we need. It's sort of like, and to understand what we're feeling in a given moment. Often it's very vague. Do you find that? Sometimes the feeling is clear and the emotional need is very, very clear. Sometimes it's not. It's like a very hazy, blurry signal. Focusing is a simple, beautiful manner of getting in touch with the feeling in the body, and you offer language to that feeling. You say, I think I'm angry. No, it's not quite angry. I'm irritated. Or, no, I'm annoyed. I think that's it. And you'll know when you say the word that gets a match, because the sensation in your body will shift. It might become sharper, or more intense, or it might it'll shift, or there'll be a relief, a sigh. And it's a way of tuning into our needs and our feelings. And I love that technique, focusing. And focusing is the best friend of the inner child journey, because it helps you to really listen to your body, listen to what you need, which I dare say that really helped you in your journey that you just took. And so what do you feel now is going on for your daughter, where she wants to stay up and stay up and stay up?
Actually, I feel headache.
Second headache. But I like what happened for you. Tell me if I've understood you correctly, is that with the struggles with getting your daughter to go to sleep so that you can go to rest, and she wants your attention, read me another story, that it took you back to a time when you felt lonely as a girl. And you remember what that felt like inside, and you wanted more company. And you wanted more company. Did you say then that as you've now become more aware of the loneliness that you feel sometimes, that you want to open up more of your time to your friends. Do you have anyone in your life that you share that sometimes as a child you felt lonely?
Yes.
You do? So that's a very special friend?
I told my husband, and sometimes I will have a talk with my students. I'm serving university students. I will share with them when I was small, I feel very lonely. I will share this experience.
Do you like sharing about that?
Yeah.
Do you like the response that you get from people
Yeah.
who care about you? That's a beautiful way to refill. That by being open about your feelings and your vulnerability, do you feel like people come closer to you?
Yes.
Yeah. I bet that they really appreciate that about you as well. I do. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Now wait, don't give your microphone. Did that help you to understand a little more about your daughter and why she won't go to sleep at night?
Actually, yes.
Yeah?
I feel that because I also bring her to a play therapist, and she tell me she need a companion because she is also homeschooling this year, and play therapist tell me that the hamster at our house is very important for her. She have a friend.
Yeah. The hamster.
If my husband angry with my daughter, she will hold the hamster in her hand and she will calm down. So I think she also need my company or some friends or her hamster. She also feel sort of loneliness.
She's feeling lonely at night.
Yeah.
And nighttime is when we feel our loneliness most keenly. Because everyone else is asleep and it's dark. Have you asked her about, have you asked her if she feels lonely at night?
No, actually. She always complaining the bed is not comfortable and and she always tell me the bed is not comfy. And she wants to sleep in the sofa in the living room.
Okay. Maybe that's actually the only reason, but maybe there's more going on. She doesn't have a brother or a sister?
No.
Okay. Okay. I mean, it sounds to me like you have understood something about her more deeply because you have just contacted and understood more deeply something about you. Have you noticed that when you speak to people, there's a part of you that instinctively wants to let people in? You'd like to tell people about not just your triumphs, you'd love to share about your hurt and your pain. There's something inside that wants to do that. I want people to know that I've been lonely. I want people to know that about me, to see me. You've noticed that you want to do that, and you do. And that when you open up about those feelings, your heart fills up and people really notice you and people come closer to you. That happens because you speak about those feelings. You know, I could sit next to you and we could talk, and it feels nice, but your presence goes more deep inside for me when I tell the truth about my feelings. And I can absorb. Do you understand? People come closer. I feel people more deeply in my heart when I open up. It might help your daughter if you help her to speak about her feelings. Because she's saying, well, the bed's not comfortable. Maybe that's true. But ask her if there's anything else going on. What's it like for you? What do you feel when the light goes out and we're asleep? What does it feel like for you? If you give her the environment in which she feels invited and safe to open up about her feelings, notice what might happen for her just like it happened for you. The moment she says, actually, I'm scared and alone, At night, I don't like when the lights go out and everything is so quiet and I'm alone. And I feel even more alone when Dad gets mad at me. When Dad gets mad at me, I feel isolated. And then you listen. Very often when we find finally the safety to connect about our feelings, you know what happens afterwards? I think she needs to share that with you. Yeah. And I think you understand her very well. Thank you. Thank you.
I have a boy.
Yep.
He always go eternal without a proper reason. Just like suddenly he wake up and then he get really angry. And I was really frustrated about that because he just like a weather. He cannot guess what I did wrong or how I trigger his turn on. And I think about it, I feel really sad. And I feel I'm very distant with my mom. My mom and I, she is a full-time mom, but I think we are not very close. I don't know why. And when I think about we are very distant, I feel really sad. But I don't have any image with her. I feel this point is really strange. I don't have any image with her, but she is a full-time mom. She was with me all the time. And after we finish, I'm thinking whether it is relevant because I feel distant with my mom, and I feel distant with my kid also. Yeah. At the beginning, when I was having my first child, sometimes I don't know what to do with my kid. Just like, I don't know how to take care of him. I don't know how to read his message. But I don't have such a strong feeling about the distance. Like I hold him a lot, I talk to him a lot, I spend a lot of time with him. But I don't know whether it is a correct answer for these questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Hang on to your microphone, please. Thank you for sharing that. And from here I can feel how strongly you feel for your son. Because the distance that you feel sometimes between you and your son, it hurts you. So then you're not numb, okay? You're not numb about him. That tells me about your connection with him. So you really became keenly aware tonight of how, although your mum was with you at home, she didn't feel close to you, right? And that can really happen. Sometimes you can be next to somebody for years, but it's as if you can't feel them. When we came to the wishing question, did you have an image about what would your mum have needed to do differently so that you could feel closeness with her? Did that come to you?
I think I would, she will hold me or I will hold her and say everything is okay. Yeah.
Was she a very holding person?
No. And she got some psychological issues, so it is really difficult to connect with her, so talk to her sometimes.
Yeah. She didn't hold you. She didn't know how she couldn't.
Okay, from my memory, I don't have any image about she holding me.
I understand that, and it's not that I think she never did. That's not the point. The thing is that's important for me right now is that you're really connecting how much you missed you went without being held. Not really, nowhere near enough. Your mum was present but distant. Yeah. I think I'm hearing you talk about reassurance. Reassurance, being held and being held safe by somebody that makes you feel okay. That's a very young feeling. So right now I'm thinking about you. I'll come to your son a little later, but soon. But I'm thinking about you right now. I wonder if there's anything that happens in your life with people in your life right now that helps you to feel reassured. And if not, what could we do about that? Do you live with a husband, a partner at home?
I got some problem on marriage right now.
I understood.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you living in the same home?
Yes.
Right.
And we are working on it.
How are you working on it? Are you having counselling together?
I'm using the psychologist.
Right. On his best days, is your, should I say husband? Is he your husband?
Yes, he's still my husband.
Is your husband somebody that was ever able to hold you when you're feeling vulnerable?
He is a very introverted person.
I'm sorry, he's a very...
Introvert.
Introvert. He's a very introverted person.
Yeah.
He's not demonstrative.
Yes, and
Okay.
I found that I don't know him very well. Even we
Okay.
have been together for a long time.
Yeah. Sort of like your mum, he doesn't show his feelings.
My mom is completely opposite.
Oh, she shows feelings too much.
And,
But she's not affectionate.
She is, she is emotionally very unstable, but when she is unstable, she likes to talk a lot. So I talk a lot with her.
That sounds a bit chaotic for you.
Yes.
Being a little chaos. Chaos, and that's very frightening, very unsettling, and that's precisely why you need reassurance. Somebody needs to give you like a cocoon, holding, stillness. I think that's important for you to receive that in your life. Now. And sometimes that doesn't come from our partners. We wish it would, but sometimes it doesn't. How else can that happen for you? Even if it's once or once every so often with a friend that you really, really trust, or a grandma that you really trust, or even, I really like that sometimes we can have a massage. And do you have massage practitioners in Hong Kong? It's very special. And maybe, I don't know how you feel about that, but it's an opportunity to be still and just receive. And somebody is holding you, just for you, applying some gentle pressure so that you feel contained.
I'm doing yoga sometimes. And,
Yoga is fantastic. I do yoga also, so very, very good, and that's how you hold yourself. I'm just wondering if there's a way that can come from another person. You don't have to talk about it right now, that's okay, but I want you to think about that if you can. Honestly, I have an image of, somebody like a very large person picking you up just so that you can experience that. You curl up and you picked up and just rocked a little bit.
Oh, I can ask my son to do it. He likes it 4-year-old.
How big is your son?
4-year-old.
Okay, no, I'm thinking of your son. Yeah, no, somebody bigger than you. A grown-up. Something like that. Do you know anyone that has a hammock? Hammock. Who knows what a hammock is? Oh, we need a lot more hammocks in Hong Kong. We need some hammocks in Hong Kong. You know what a hammock is? You sell hammocks? Relevant. Oh, yeah. Yes, you can be. Yes. Okay, this is basically what I'm trying to say. That we need to receive what it is that we want to pass on. Or really, it's too difficult. We need to receive what we want to pass on. And if we didn't receive it as children, that's okay, we can receive it later. It's never too late. And you were saying it's difficult for you to find a way to feel close with your son sometimes when he's very emotional. Of course you do. So does anybody, so do all of us. Find it difficult to pass on. You haven't received that from your mum. Your mum was very chaotic. Poor woman. She had a psychological disorder. She was chaos. Blah, blah, blah. But blah, blah, blah is about her. It's not about you. So you need, if you had 5 minutes where you get to be the centre of attention and just be held. And even though right now this is not a physical holding for you, but I want you to just look around the room a little bit, that we've all been listening to you and thinking about you. Yeah? Can you see her? Are you feeling a little bit something for her? Can you see her as a little girl who was never really reassured? What are you feeling in your heart for this lady right now? It's amazing how people, sometimes even strangers, when we really see what's inside here, we're like a family. We want to be for you. Can you take this in a little bit for you right now? Good. Now I'd like to see your face when you're a little bit selfish and you just take in. Right. So that, I don't know how, but I want you to have more of that in your life. Sometimes you just need to make a decision. I don't know how to get it, but I want it. And I deserve it. A hammock is those things you put the strings in this on a tree and you put the strings on the other tree and you can lie down, it's like a big sheet, and then somebody rocks you. Like rocking a baby. Or maybe if you just sit in a rocking chair, somebody rocks you. That's deeply, deeply, deeply reassuring, being rocked. I want you to have that. Or a massage. Or this, just letting people know. Just see your tears, letting people you trust know about you so that you feel held. And then notice what you have inside you when next time your son has his tantrum. You want to mother your son? Be mothered. There's many ways to be mothered. All right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. There's a gentleman here who had a question earlier.
Well, 2, 3, I saw 3, 4. Okay? Now I have to say, I saw that with
Good.
Thank you, and then some questions.
As you walk with the microphone, and let's talk a little bit about time.
We're supposed to have 10 minutes.
Are we allowed to cheat a little bit and have a little more?
I was told that we can.
Okay. Is it okay if we end at 7:10? Okay. Is there anybody that needs to run out in a big hurry at 7 o'clock exactly? Can we go to 10 past?
Sure.
Yes? Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I want to share a little bit about myself and my son. And I come from a big family. a family of 5 kids, and I'm the middle one. I can't recall a lot of cuddling or hugging from my mom.
You can?
You can. I
Cannot.
can't.
Cannot.
My mom is a full-time mom, but what I recall is that she likes to. I think she is very tired most of the time because of so many kids, and she likes to lie on the sofa a lot of time.
Yep.
And I can't recall a lot of cuddling from my parents, but I recall once that I think I was around three years old at that time, and I fell asleep after a family dinner with relatives, and then he hugged me and carried me to home, and I still remember that when I did when he took us the journey to the childhood. And right now I have 2 kids, 1 son and 1 daughter, and my other son is 5 years old, and my daughter is 3 years old. And when my son was a little bit younger, when he was between 3 to 4, when he got fussy, he would cry for maybe more than 1 hour. And then in the middle, I tried to hold him, but he was just struggling and then kick me out. And I felt angry about that, and then I will restrict myself from holding him again. And then I would just let him cry and cry and cry for maybe a very long time, and then sometimes I would just let him cry in the room because he couldn't stop. And then a few times at the end he will ask me to hold him and to carry him. And then when he asked me, I will hold him for sure. But I don't know whether it's related to my childhood, whether because is it in the Chinese culture that we don't normally hold our kids. I mean in the older generation, because I hold my daughter a lot, and my son. I think I have a closer relationship with my daughter because she can express herself much better than my son.
Much better.
Much better. She can.
How?
She
What do you
will
mean?
ask me to stay with her and then hold her, and then she will ask me to spend time with her, and then ask me to take her home from school. But my son wouldn't express himself like that, so I would just I will.
She's easier. to you.
Yeah, she is much easier. My son is
For
a
you?
little bit. Yeah, with me. I don't. But actually, I think I see my son. I see myself in my son sometimes. I think he. I don't know whether it's in the genes or whatsoever. He actually resembles me. So sometimes the rejection is like I see myself in him, and I don't want him, to be like me.
You don't want him to be like you.
Yeah, in some way, I don't know why.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm interested in? That earlier on you said it makes you angry when he doesn't let you hold him.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. You feel angry when he doesn't let you hold him.
Yeah.
Let you hold him.
Yeah. I felt angry at that time when he was struggling when I tried to hold him.
He did not accept your holding.
Yeah.
What's it like for you when your holding is not accepted?
I think I felt rejection.
You felt rejected.
Yeah, I felt
Yeah.
rejected. And then I rejected myself
Yes,
to further hold him more tightly.
that's right.
Yeah, I will try to escape sometimes because of all the crying noise.
Then there's the resentment. I'm not holding you. You pushed me away.
Yeah.
So you were hurt
Yeah.
when he pushed you away.
Yes.
Yeah. You were trying to help and he pushed you away.
Yeah.
So what happened to you, the part of you, and you can recognize yourself in him. So that part of you that pushes away, the angry part of you, how was that part of you treated when you were a child?
You mean,
Do you ever remember being angry at your mum and pushing her away, or angry at your dad and pushing him away?
yeah. Well, even
Yeah.
when I was at university, I remember once that
Yeah.
my mom slapped on my face because I said something that she didn't like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt the rejection. And
Yeah.
I think, after that time, I actually decided to leave home and stay in the dormitory. And then
Yeah.
from that moment, I didn't
Yeah.
stay in the home. From that moment.
Understood.
So that's the rejection
Yeah.
from my mom. Yeah.
Well, look, what I want to say with you right now is it's going to be too brief, really, because of the situation and the time that we have. And ideally, I would like to go a little bit more deeply further. However, just to summarize, if I can, let me know if I'm understanding you correctly. It sounds to me like the incomplete need for you as a child was to be able to express your negative feelings. That sounds like the great difficulty. You began by saying, I don't remember being held much except for that one time, and it was lovely when somebody picked me up and carried me. However, what you're struggling with your son is that thing about expressing negativity to the parent. You tried to say, Mum, I don't like this, I'm mad at you right now. And she assaulted you. So you haven't been allowed to be negative towards your parents.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we should be allowed to be rude to them. I'm not saying we should be allowed to insult our parents, none of that. But to disagree, to have emotion, you wanted it. We all want that. All of us did. In every family. We wanted parents who were mature enough to stand when we say, Mum, today I'm angry with you. Dad, today I'm angry with you. And that they let us have that voice. Well, no wonder then you feel so rejected when your son has, the two conflicting feelings. He wants your attention, but he wants to push against you. And he doesn't want to be held. My daughter once said to me the same thing when she was 9. She explained to me, Dad, when I was little and I used to have tantrums, I didn't like you touching me. And I used to always try to pat her to comfort her when she was screaming in a tantrum. She told me too late, years later, I didn't want you to do that. Yeah. Stop it. You know that feeling? Don't touch me. But I said to her, should I have walked out? She said, no. I didn't want to be left alone. I just didn't want my body touched. That doesn't mean leave. I want the connection. I want you to listen. But your mum rejected your strength. And that's what leaves it difficult for you to allow your son his strength. He's a strong and assertive boy. That makes it difficult for now. You want him to be strong and assertive. You want him to have a voice. You want him that when he grows up and he says, Mum, I'm angry with you today and I don't agree with what you did and said. You want him to be able to do that. But you also want to not be ashamed or to be made smaller so that you can stand eye to eye with him and say, I hear you, son. And son, now there's something that I want you to hear about me. So we connect. Your mum didn't know how to do that with you. That's why it's so difficult. It's shocks you when your son pushes you. So, to be able to not feel offended when your son is mad at you, or not, he's not even mad at you necessarily, he's just, don't touch me, don't hold me. You're getting it wrong right now, Mum, it's not what I wanted. He's not rejecting you as holistically. He's just saying, Mum, not like this. So to feel comfortable with that so that you don't feel wounded, what you need is to complete that incomplete developmental need where you're allowed to be negative with your elders. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Maybe your mum can't do that with you. But who else do you need to be negative with? And to be allowed.
So allow the negativity thoughts to float around sometimes.
Do you know what I'd like to do with you? You have a room where it's completely private, and I want you to walk up and down the room all by yourself. No one needs to know about it. And in a strong voice, you say, this is what I'm pissed off with. And this is the person that really I'm annoyed with. And this is rubbish. And this is really disappointing. There's too much rubbish in the streets. This is unfair. And to breathe that in. Or even write it down. So you bring your own, the right to self-express. Your anger is no less important than your love and your everything else. And maybe sometimes with a friend. So the more that you feel that, the less it will bother you when your son says, Mum, not like that. I didn't like that. Got that?
Got that. Thank you.
Thank you. I think one more. Do we have? No, maybe one or two more. Gentleman over there, somebody here.
Thank you very much, Ken. Thanks a lot, Robin. My name is Frankie. So 2 things about myself so that I'll proceed with my questions. I don't have my children. I don't have children of my own, but I work in secondary school, so I have hundreds of children around me. The second thing is that I've never taken any psychology courses, so I was a sociology major. So my questions and my perception actually coming not from a very psychological, area. Now, when I first look at this question, this topic, I find very inspiring and very interesting because, I have several questions in my mind thinking about that. Probably I have to think about when parents, they themselves were connected to their childhood, what would happen to their parenting? What would happen to how they look at the needs of the children and understand the behavior of the children? And whether, some of the conflicts that they have, probably if the parents themselves look at them, try to think about, their previous experience, try to think about their, connect to their childhood, probably that would help a lot. So that's why, when before I came here, actually this is what my expectation. It's not very much about my psychological thing, but it's more on, if we try to connect with our past, how would that help us to deal with the future and the present? And this is exactly what I'm thinking about. So I even think about that, after this, workshop, I will go to school and have a teacher training workshop called When Teachers Were Students. So I think that would be a very interesting topic because my teachers always, some of my teachers always complaining students A and B and C, D, E. And I think that, if you become a student, probably you think about, like 20 or 30 years ago when you were a student, probably many of the things that you complained happened a few decades ago. So I'm not actually asking a question because, I don't know, whether these are the approach that, this seminar is set to deal with. So
Yeah.
This is just my thought. Okay.
Thank you for your thought. I think I would really like you to have my book on the subject. And I made a special point to address the book also to teachers in the classroom, not only to parents. In so many ways, for so many reasons. And it's exactly as you say, when teachers were students, it's exactly it. And there's probably few more empowering sources of wisdom and understanding about the child. How quickly we forget the incredible vulnerability that can happen when you're in a learning environment. You're in a learning. Every time that there's something new that we're going to learn, when I remember what it was like as a child, what came back to me is that initially, at first, just the fact of learning something new, when I don't have competency, I'm ashamed. And especially if I'm learning in front of people, I'm likely to feel very fragile and ashamed. And I'll share with you an experience I had. My wife and I, a few years ago, went out to have dancing lessons. I've always wanted to learn to dance salsa. It's from where I was born in South America. I always remember that music. Finally, at my age, I'm learning salsa with my wife. I hadn't learned something new in public in a long time. Boy, did I feel small, ashamed, embarrassed. It really brought it back, what it felt like to be a child learning something new. And when the teacher comes up to say, not like that, not like this, you know, people are watching and it's agonizing. And it was very interesting actually to remember feeling silly and feeling embarrassed. It really brought it home to me. And it made me think a lot about every time I teach something to my daughter and that I become impatient too soon because I've forgotten from here down how tender we are when we're learning something new. You know, every time I think, well, why don't you understand this now? I've shown you 3 times. Come on, what is it? Oof. And then I push too hard. And I remember a number of instances I'm teaching us how to use some tools or, you know, teaching her how to write an essay or something, and that I can see in her, when she was younger, when I was too much and pushed too hard, that she would shrink. Her body would do this. And I wasn't reading those signals because I wasn't doing my inner child work to remember that. I was starting to sound a little bit like my teachers sounded to me when they were saying, Grille, don't you understand this already? I already told you twice. Yeah. So thank you for, that's exactly what my wish is, for my purpose for the book. And I have been to one school where I saw in the staff meetings where the teachers would sit in a circle, and every time that somebody had a difficulty, oh my God, there's that kid in the classroom that is so troublesome. They wouldn't just speak about the child and what to do for the child, they would talk about themselves. When I was 15, like that boy, and I would, you know, did this and that, and upset my teacher, this is how it felt for me. This is what I needed. Maybe that's what this child needed. And but there's an additional benefit. What's most beautiful is when the teachers start to know about each other as children. That's a very, very special moment. One time I was in a school, in a high school, delivering one of my workshops as a staff development day. And I asked, it was a listening exercise, so I asked all the teachers to come into pairs and to tell each other a story of great embarrassment from their own childhood. When I was 7 years old and I did this, I broke a window, something like that. And it was a listening exercise, how to ask questions to make the other person feel safe, and they took turns. And you know, these are all teachers, people from between 30 years of age to 60 years of age, and dressed like teachers, you know, but the room suddenly full of children, beautiful children. And it was the sweetest thing in the world that when I asked them afterwards to share, the school principal, and the school principal was the man with the authority, who's supposed to be very, you know, the position of authority, and you're up here and he's serious. It's difficult to imagine the school principal as a little boy. But him and the woman that he had partnered with for the exercise, they shared. And she said, she was so excited. Oh, I'd never imagined him as a child. He's my boss. And he said this story about something embarrassing that happened, and my heart went out to him. I was flooded with compassion for him. I just wanted to protect him. I saw him as a child for the first time. And the principal was red in the face. He was a little bit embarrassed, but he was smiling. He loved it. The whole room, it's like everybody's heart went out to him. You could feel like the whole team just uniting. It's a very special thing when we show our inner child to each other. It bonds a team very, very powerfully. It increases loyalty for one another and understanding. I think this is some of the best team building exercises that there are. It really connects people. Yeah. Thanks for your question.
Okay, one last question.
One last one, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Robin. I didn't expect that today have a quality time, quiet time for me to think and reflect myself. Actually, I have a boy, 8 years old. He's very gentle. He got very good comment from school, and he got a lot of friends. Most of his friends is very gentle and good to him.
Yeah.
But he got a problem, always make me frustrated. He always has negative thinking and tell himself he can't do it, and always get scared easily, like just a very normal thing like swimming class. Before the swimming class, maybe 1 week before, he will start to worry and always tell me, I'm scared, I don't want to go, I don't think I can swim, something like that. I try a lot of way to encourage him. I think he need a lot of encouragement, and but still, not just swimming. Maybe some very simple thing he will tell himself he can't do it. Easily will give up or avoid it. He's getting better and better, but for me, I think it's too slow. And my reflection today is maybe I have too many expectations on him. Maybe I have to let go a bit. I don't know, but that's something always make me frustrated and struggle. And the relationship is very good. He's very close to me. I hope I didn't do anything wrong to him in this side. Yeah, so I want to get some advice from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. When you did your inner child journey with me tonight, where did that take you? Did you remember something for yourself from your own childhood?
Yeah, but most of the negative thing, maybe some complaints to my parents, something like that. But for me, I think I have to let go because it happened and it's past, so no need to drill into.
It's not so important.
Yeah, it's not
important.
a problem anymore. Yeah.
My childhood is not important.
Yeah. not important, but let go, right?
Let it go.
Move on, right?
Let go of the past. Well, I think you have unfair expectations of yourself. Right there.
Not a lot, but little bit. I think most of the people might have complaints to their parents too. But for me, it's okay. Yeah, it's fine. To let go, right?
Wait a minute.
No
I have
talk
something.
about me. I want to know how to help my son more.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but the thing is that tonight is about being in the spot. Because it is about us.
Title, right?
But it's about you in a particular way. And of course it's about your son, and I want you to know, I understand that it's a worry when we see our children too scared to move forward. We get very, very worried about that. I worry also about that, and, often. But I want to know there's a lot of dismissing going on for you. You know, about it's not my own feelings really the important thing. That's dismissive of you, and that worries me too, because your feelings are much more important than that. Your past isn't the past, but it's valuable. And this is the question that if I were to do the inner child journey with you again, I would ask this. Whenever you were frightened, a little bit like your son is frightened, maybe in your own different way, but when you were frightened and you didn't, I don't want to try now, I'm too scared. How was that treated for you when you were a little girl? Fear.
I can't really remember, but I don't think I don't think I like my son right now, because I do willing to try. I go to London by myself to study. I went to dormitory on my grade Form 1.
Yes.
So I don't have that. I don't see myself like my son before. That's why I would feel frustrated why he's always scared.
Oh, okay. You find it difficult to relate to him because you were very brave and you did
Not
big,
very brave,
big
but
things.
I think it's normal. But I think I can do that. But
Yeah.
my son is, I feel why
Okay.
you were like that. Why I can't help you to improve a bit more. He's getting better. I want to
What's
emphasize
interesting,
it.
yeah. Gosh, I wish we had more time because this really deserves more time. You're right. You're not like your son. But was there even one time when you were very frightened? Because if you remember one time that you were very frightened, and you explore how was fear treated in your family, or maybe not you, maybe a sibling, a brother or a sister, or a friend. How have you witnessed fear being treated in your family? That's going to give you very important information. I want you to look for, if you've ever experienced fear and something made you feel less afraid from the inside, what was that? If you can't remember, that's okay, but just at least let's try.
I don't remember. I think maybe if frightens come out, maybe we don't have any treatment at all. Just go on.
Who said to you, let go, it's not that important?
I think it's the reality. Even though you're scared, time will.
But who did you learn that reality from?
I don't know. I can't even think of something really made me scared and how I treat it. Somehow I.
Yeah, I think you need to find out when you feel, if not scared, but some other very vulnerable feeling. What is it that really helps you when you feel vulnerable?
Maybe avoid it somehow.
Avoid? Yeah, because
I got my driving license 2 years ago. I find that I can't deal with that scared. So maybe I just don't drive now. Maybe I'm too old to start driving.
hang on, you got your driver's license.
Yeah, I got my driving license 2 years ago.
Was that late in your life that you got your license? What are you saying about that?
Well, I got my driving license because I want to send my son to school every day.
Uh-huh.
But after I got it, I feel like I'm scared to drive. Yeah, that's why, okay. We move closer to the school now.
Okay, so I would be scared to drive in Hong Kong too. Okay, so thank you for sharing that, because that's a place where you can understand fear. You understand fear. And you understand what it's like to have so much fear that you might like to, you consider moving house. So you never have to drive again. And that's quite a lot of fear. And thank you for sharing that. Okay, if you and I could talk about, and maybe we might need a longer conversation, if we could talk about what would help you the most with your fear of driving, that will give you some very important clues about what helps your son when he's afraid of swimming and trying new things. Because that is how you are like your son. When you're afraid, that's like he's afraid. Do you understand that? What helps you when you're afraid? If you don't know yet, then we need to talk about that. Okay, because we need to finish, I'm going to take a shortcut and go very quickly. Yeah. I think first of all, when you're afraid, you need someone to not give you expectations. Not to push you. Not when you're afraid. That's not what helps. When somebody has an expectation, if I say to you, get over it. Everyone else drives, all these people drive, get over it. All that happens is on top of your fear, you now feel ashamed. Ashamed. And that wouldn't help your son. It wouldn't help you. It would not help your son. When you're afraid, what I want for you is that you have the support. Let's make it smaller. Let's drive together. Let's drive in smaller streets with less traffic. So many times until you feel comfortable there and you feel your own power in an easier challenge. When you feel your own power, you will feel very excited. When you feel the excitement because you've just conquered a small street, let's take another incremental step. Let's go to a medium street. I'm feeling the fear again. Okay, it's okay to be afraid. We'll sit together, I'll be in the passenger seat. Don't push it, just take this challenge now. Let's drive together. I'm afraid. Okay, you can stop if you want to. Wait, no, I don't want to stop, I'll keep going. You do that 20 times up until you feel like the power. Look at me. I've just conquered the middle street. Now let's try the highway. It's okay to be afraid. Yes, but remember, you've conquered this and you've conquered that. And so on and so on. Where you take each challenge, you make it smaller up until the challenge feels like something you can breathe into. None of that had expectations in it. And it's respect for your fear. Respect for your fear. And respect for your fear doesn't mean, oh, don't worry, you don't have to try anything. You do want to try something. And I think your son wants to play too. So you make it smaller. If he's afraid of swimming, he has every right to be afraid. Sometimes we don't know why they're afraid. Who knows? Maybe he had a trauma that you don't even know about. Maybe he has a phobia. Phobias are paralyzing, they're devastating. Often we don't even know why. It needs the respect. Okay, so don't swim. That's okay. How about you just go into the water to here until that feels comfortable. When that feels comfortable and you feel like you've triumphed, bring the water to here. Okay, now let yourself float, but you're near the edge. So if you get frightened, you can hold the edge. See, you've gone a little bit further now. If you take those steps, you can conquer your mountain, which is, your mountain is yourself. But the expectation to get over it, things like let go of the past, that's not important. That doesn't help you. That makes you ashamed. So I think that I would like for you to have support around driving until you enjoy it, until it's fun. Fun. Right?
Thank you.
Same for your son. Same for your son.
Thank you very much, Robin, and thank you very much for staying behind. But please give me time for 3 more pieces of PowerPoint to show you. I'm sorry about that. This one, I have to say, is important for us, so it would be nice if you, I think you have a piece of paper, then you can do the evaluation form. That would be great.